I spent years of my life genuinely believing that success was about sheer grinding, about outworking everyone in the room, constantly feeling drained and telling myself that was just the price of ambition. I thought being realistic meant accepting less, staying small, and always playing it safe. Until a moment hit me like a ton of bricks. The realization that my own internal narrative, the constant fear of being too much or too ambitious, was actually the most toxic environment I was living in. It wasn't the external circumstances holding me back. It was my own small thinking, carefully cultivated by the subtle inputs I was absorbing daily. And since then, everything changed. I started seeing opportunities I was previously blind to, making decisions that felt audacious but were actually aligned, and slowly, surely, my financial reality began to reflect that shift. It's a journey from survival to thriving, from scarcity to abundance, and it all begins with understanding how your environment, especially your mental one, is silently costing you millions. But what if the biggest obstacle isn't out there, but deep inside your comfort zone? Look, I know what it feels like to be stuck, that heavy feeling in your gut, the constant low hum of anxiety that tells you you're not quite where you want to be, but you feel paralyzed to change it. Maybe it's the job that saps your soul, the friend group that thrives on gossip and negativity, or even just the endless stream of bad news you consume daily. And trust me, it's not because you're lazy or not smart enough. It's often because, without even realizing it, you're absorbing a constant stream of toxic input from your surroundings. This isn't just about bad vibes, it's a science. Think of your mind like a sponge. Every conversation, every social media post, every opinion you hear, every limiting belief you allow to echo in your head, it's all input. And just like with a physical diet, if you constantly feed your mind junk food, you're not going to feel good, you're not going to perform at your best, and you're certainly not going to think big. This mental junk food creates an internal toxic environment, a cage built of self-doubt and scarcity, making you believe that thinking small is actually being smart or realistic. It tells you that aiming for millions is for other people, for the lucky ones. And it whispers that protecting your energy is selfish, that you need to be loyal to those who drain you. I used to cling to certain friendships, convinced that loyalty meant enduring the negativity, the constant complaints, the subtle jabs at my ambitions. I'd leave those coffee dates feeling absolutely depleted, my own dreams suddenly seeming silly or unattainable. It wasn't until later that I connected the dots. Their small thinking was infecting my own. Their fear of ambition was becoming my fear. Your environment, whether it's the physical space you inhabit, the people you spend time with, or the information you consume, literally shapes your brain. It dictates what thoughts you're prone to, what opportunities you see, and ultimately, what actions you take. A toxic environment doesn't just drain your energy, it shrinks your perception of possibility. It's a subtle, insidious force that keeps you playing small when you should be thinking huge. You're not just feeling bad, you're actually losing millions in missed opportunities, in unpursued ideas, in a potential future you can't even see right now. But how do you even begin to identify these invisible shackles and, more importantly, break free from them without feeling like you're abandoning everything you know? Okay, so you understand the problem. Your environment, both internal and external, is shaping your thinking and costing you. Now let's talk about the solution, and it requires a radical shift in perspective. You need to give yourself permission to be selfish. I know it sounds harsh, especially in a world that praises selflessness and loyalty above all else. But hear me out. Being selfish here means protecting your most valuable assets, your energy, your mindset, and your potential. It means curating your life, both inside and out, with the same meticulous care you would give to a high-growth investment portfolio. You wouldn't knowingly invest in something that consistently loses money, right? So why would you invest your precious time and mental energy in environments or relationships that consistently drain you and shrink your vision? For years, I believed I had to be the fixer or the listener for everyone around me. My phone was constantly buzzing with crises that weren't mine, and my calendar was filled with commitments that didn't serve my growth. It wasn't just exhausting. It was a constant affirmation that my time and energy were less valuable than others. This mindset kept me stuck in a loop of thinking small. The truth? You absolutely deserve to be surrounded by people and ideas that elevate you, that challenge you constructively, that inspire you to think bigger, not smaller. And let me tell you, these people exist. They're out there. You just might have been too bogged down in the toxic dump of your current environment to even recognize them, or perhaps you've convinced yourself you're not worthy of them. The first step to redefining your circle is to get brutally honest about who and what is currently in it. Take an inventory of your daily inputs. First, your inner circle. Who do you spend the most time with? Do they uplift you or pull you down? Do they celebrate your ambitions or subtly mock them? Second, your information diet. What news, social media, podcasts, and books are you consuming? Is it empowering or fear-mongering? Third, your physical spaces. Is your home, office, or regular hangout spot a place of inspiration or stagnation? This isn't about cutting people off coldly. It's about making conscious choices. It's about slowly, strategically, redirecting your energy. You don't owe loyalty to anyone who consistently makes you feel less than. You owe it to yourself to build a life where thinking big isn't just allowed, but encouraged. It's about understanding that your perspective is a direct reflection of your inputs. If you want to see millions, you need to immerse yourself in environments that speak the language of millions. But what happens when you're genuinely stuck, when escape isn't an immediate option, and you still need to find a way to cultivate this expansive mindset? So we've identified the toxic inputs and the critical need to curate your environment. But what if you're genuinely in a situation where you can't immediately walk away? A demanding job you need for income, a family dynamic you can't escape, or circumstances that tie you down for now. This is where the real work begins, building an inner fortress and crafting a strategic exit plan. This isn't about resigning yourself to the toxic. It's about creating a parallel reality within it, a secret garden for your mind, where bigger ideas can flourish and millions can still be conceived. I remember being in a job that was soul-crushing. Every day felt like a battle against apathy, and the negativity was infectious. I couldn't just quit. I had bills, responsibilities, but I refused to let that environment dictate my destiny. I started building my inner fortress. This meant scheduling non-negotiable, protected time before work, during lunch and right after work. Instead of scrolling social media or complaining to colleagues, I used that time to read books that expanded my mindset, listen to podcasts from people who were thinking big, and actively work on skills that could lead to an alternative income stream. It was a conscious decision to change my mental diet, even when my physical environment remained unchanged. Here's how you can build your own system. First, strictly manage your information diet. Even 15 minutes of inspiring content in the morning can create a mental shield. Filter out news that makes you anxious, unfollow accounts that trigger comparison, and consciously seek out voices that empower and challenge you positively. Treat your mind like a luxury apartment. No junk allowed. Second, create micro-escapes. If you can't leave a toxic physical space, find ways to insert positive micro-environments. A walk in nature during lunch, a quiet corner to read, even just putting on noise cancelling. Headphones with uplifting music. These small acts reclaim mental territory. Third, develop an escape hatch habit. This is your strategic exit plan. Dedicate a consistent amount of time, even just 30-60 minutes daily, to learning a new skill, building a side hustle, or networking with people in your desired field. This isn't about immediate results. It's about the snowball effect of consistent action. The act of planning and taking small steps towards your escape gives you back your power and keeps your mind from shrinking. It's proof to yourself that you are actively building a bridge to a better future, a future where millions is not just a dream, but a logical outcome of your expanded thinking. This isn't about escaping reality. It's about building a new one disciplined step at a time. But is simply changing your environment enough? Or is there a deeper, often overlooked truth about how we perceive our own potential that's truly holding us back? So we've talked about the subtle, insidious ways toxic environments, both external and internal, can hijack your mindset, leading you to think small and, quite literally, costing you millions in potential. We've explored the courage it takes to curate your inputs and the practical steps to build an inner fortress and an exit plan when escape isn't immediate. But I want to circle back to something crucial. Small thinking is not a life sentence. It's a choice, often an unconscious one, shaped by the environments we allow ourselves to be in. Remember that feeling I described at the beginning? The grind, the acceptance of less, the fear of being too much. That was my toxic environment manifesting as a limiting belief. I convinced myself that my ambitions were unrealistic, that my potential was capped. This wasn't because I lacked capability, it was because my mental input was polluted with scarcity, doubt, and the opinions of those who dared not dream big. The true transformation happens when you understand that your environment isn't just a backdrop, it's a co-creator of your reality. Just as a plant needs fertile soil, sunlight, and clean water to thrive, your mind needs a rich, expansive, and inspiring environment to truly flourish and conceive of millions. This isn't about magic or wishful thinking. It's about cause and effect. Change your inputs, and you change your outputs. Shift your mental diet, and you shift your potential. I'm not saying it's easy. It requires ruthless honesty, the courage to say no, and the discipline to consistently choose better inputs. But when you make that choice, when you truly commit to nurturing a mindset of abundance and possibility, that's when the millions start to appear. Not necessarily as a sudden windfall, but as opportunities you're now equipped to see, to seize, and to create. You stop being a passive recipient of your circumstances and become the conscious architect of your destiny. You start asking, what if I could? Instead of, what if I can't? And that shift, that fundamental change in your internal dialogue, is the most valuable asset you'll ever acquire. It's the difference between merely existing and truly living. Look, I'm not here to tell you to blindly chase money. I'm here to remind you that your potential is vast, perhaps even limitless, and it's being suffocated by thinking small. The millions I talk about aren't just monetary. They're the millions of possibilities, ideas, connections, and experiences you miss out on when your mind is confined to a scarcity cage. This isn't about guilt-tripping you into action. It's about giving you the clarity to see the reality of what's happening and the power to choose a different path. You now have a framework for understanding how your environment shapes your thinking, how to actively curate what you allow into your mental space, and how to build resilience and an escape route even when immediate change seems impossible. This knowledge is not a burden, it's a gift. It's an invitation to an inevitable awakening, an awakening to your own untapped capacity. The world doesn't need more people playing small, echoing the doubts of others. It needs you to step into your full potential, to bring your unique ideas and energy to the table. And the only way to do that is to recognize that thinking small is a habit, a learned behavior. And like any habit, it can be unlearned and replaced with something far more expansive, far more aligned with the abundance that's available to you. Don't let the invisible chains of a toxic environment hold you back from the incredible life and, yes, the millions of opportunities that are waiting for you. The choice, as always, is yours to make. If any of this resonated with you, if you felt that flicker of recognition, that uncomfortable truth about a toxic input in your life, then don't just let it pass. I'm not going to tell you to like or subscribe just for the sake of it, but if you're serious about shifting from thinking small to thinking expansively, I invite you to take a specific, actionable step. Comment below and tell me, what's one toxic input, whether it's a person, a type of media, or a limiting belief, you're going to start curating or eliminating from your environment today? Sharing it holds you accountable and shows others they're not alone. This helps us build a community of people committed to real transformation, not just quick fixes, and it helps me understand what truly helps you. Let's make this shift together.